Welcome to Auggie and Sophia in the morning. Got a very special guest on a Feature Friday.
Yeah, we got one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter. The first person I ever followed on Twitter, actually. Has an amazing pulse on the culture. Make some noise for Ferrari Sheppard. AKA Stop Being Famous on Twitter. But you're also a multidisciplinary artist. That's how you describe yourself. And explain what that means.
Well, there's hello everyone out there in radio land. I have my radio face on right now. Multidisciplinary artist is basically any artist who practices one or two or more mediums, such as like film, television, visual art, music. So with me, I'm a producer, I was a journalist, and now I'm a visual artist, So, yeah.
And one of those facets that you have has led you to be a producer for Yazin Bey, a.k.a. Mos Def.
Yeah.
It's the last record.
Yeah, the last record. I produced it. Love it or hate it. That's whatever. Yeah, yeah, that was definitely an experience because I don't think that I had a full grasp on the responsibility that I had until it was like 2 weeks until we were to release it, I had like strangers walking up to me in H&M in Georgetown talking like, "Don't mess this up."
Oh my God.
I'm like, hold up. Like, you're getting too close to me, first of all. But, no, but in his mind, like, the greats, here we are with Jay Dilla, Kanye West, up there, even Preservation with the Ecstatic. So I never had that in my mind, any of that competition, because I'm like, I can't compete with these people. I kind of like, I definitely am passionate about music, but I never was set out to be like, I'm the best, music producer. It's just one aspect of my creative output,
But you remain true to yourself. Oh, what you got?
No, I was gonna say that was the first thing that I realized. Like, I recognized you producing. Had you been doing that before? You work with Mos Def?
Yeah, I had produced music, but it was always just for myself. And Yassine is one of these people who's actually like, even though he's had success in Hollywood, he's definitely a true artist, like, for real artist.
Yeah.
So when he heard the music, he was like, dude, like, let's do stuff. Like, this is amazing, because for all intents and purposes, like, I had my own sound. Whether it's weird or not, like, that's hard to get now because everybody's trying to sound like the last hit that was on the radio, I wasn't. I was into Joy Division and trying to mesh that with, like, all of my 8-Ball MJG and, and Houston rap and New York rap, So that's what came out.
That's probably why he loved you and it was attracted to you in the first place. He's like, this dude is authentic. And he has a sound that I haven't touched yet. I want to work with him. Yeah. And you were with him for 3 years in Africa, huh?
Well, on and off, we were traveling. We did a show for Anthony Bourdain, The Getaway, rest in peace, in Morocco, and just had some really good times. Like, we were in Ethiopia and South Africa, Tanzania, just traveling because the idea was, which is probably, his same mode today and my same mode. I just got back from Ethiopia a week ago. Is to bridge the gap between, Africans here in the Americas and Africans on the continent. There's so much opportunity and so many people, so many artists who are not given a platform on the continent, and they're just really dope, So, yeah.
There's more questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
After we got to get back to the music for a little bit, but there's a lot of questions I want to know about your artistry outside of being a producer because you do paint as well. I know you have a very you just hit a major staple in your career with that too.
I did. I sold to Yusaku Mazoa, Mr. Yusaku Mazoa. Thank you very much. Was the man who actually bought the $110 million Basquiat recently.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't get the $110 million, but I got, what I deserved as a new artist, emerging artist. And it just felt really good to know that he sees as a collector he sees the vision and the potential of what I could be in the next 10 years, you know?
That's incredible. Ferrari Sheppard, we're here with him right now on 95.3, Auggie and Sophia in the morning. We're going to be right back hearing some more.
Yeah. Yo, we're in the room, Auggie and Sophia in the morning with Ferrari Sheppard, a.k.a. Stop Being Famous on Twitter. Multidisciplinary artist, has traveled the world with one of my favorite artists of all time, Yasin Bey, a.k.a. Mos Def. Been in the room with a lot of different important people in the hip-hop game.
Such as like Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Jay-Z, like you can keep going on and on and on.
Yeah, well, I've never been in a room with Jay, but I've talked to him on the phone when we were releasing our album. And you know, it was I think I kind of witnessed hip hop history because, you know, the conversation between Yasin and Jay-Z was like a long to do because apparently their grandmothers lived in the same housing projects, and like it's Yasin's grandmom used to say, "You need to work with that boy Jay-Z," you know.
Really?
And they never really. Then it was like, okay, now we finally have an opportunity to work together. Yeah, it's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't like ever. Did they never cross paths before that time?
They crossed paths. You know, I mean, you know, whatever. I won't go there, but you know, is
Nah, it's pretty. It is public. These are Googleable things.
Because I did Google it.
Well,
as we,
Yasin used to date Beyonce, you know, back in the day, but it was clean, like 1950s dating, where it's like.
It was probably when they were doing Carmen, the hip opera.
Yeah,
they dated for a while.
You know, like, do you like me? I like you. Yeah, that type of thing. But anyway, it's not my business.
So
no,
Jay-Z,
but, you know, just talking about like the being in the room thing. For me, like, of course, I was kind of like surprised and shocked, like, oh my God, I'm like in the room with these legends. But then again, like one of my best friends at the time, Yasin Bey, he's a legend. But we wake up together and it was like, hey, groggy with stuff in our eyes, and it's just like, you know. It almost happens so fast that it's just like you can't really get a grasp on it till after I'll be like 60 years old. Like, oh my God, yeah, I used to be with James Brown or whatever, you know, like you remembering, you know.
And being around legends and just obviously like looking at the game in general and the era of hip hop that we're in, it's really hard, I think, for them to maintain authenticity. Yeah. Sometimes you see a lot of people grow and evolve in different ways.
Yeah.
And your perspective, because I feel like you are a very true artist, who do you see is remaining themselves truly and authentically?
Before I answer that, you know, we kind of have to look at the landscape that we are in right now. Like, if we're talking about in the 80s and the 90s, it was a totally different, I'm just guessing, it was totally different to be a celebrity because you had this wall around you of mystery and secrecy, whereas today everything is out there. You know, there's really no need for an interview because everyone is always on social media. It's overexposure is the norm now. So what we get is, you know, a lot of mistakes are being made, you know, PR mistakes, and that probably would have been avoided before, and that leaves artists vulnerable. And I have a soft spot, and I empathize with a lot of artists. I don't care what they say or do, because it's like if you put anyone out here in the world under a microscope, none of us are perfect.
True.
And they be like, yeah, what was about the time when you didn't go see your grandmother? You're a bad grandson.
You're the worst grandson in the world.
Right. And you said that you was gonna go last week to that party, but you didn't go, so you're a liar. So I was just looking at, actually, on my Twitter feed, this story that Forbes wrote about Nicki Minaj and how she is a hypocrite, for working with 6ix9ine because he's I think he's a pedophile.
Yeah, he was charged as a pedophile.
Yeah, her brother is charged. He was convicted of being a pedophile, and she had tweeted earlier that she wanted them to be thrown to the wolves, like pedophiles to be thrown to the wolves. So that's
so what do you think about that?
That's a deep one, and but I still, once again, I empathize because I'm sure there's a position that I've had that I've fallen on, And I just wonder sometimes with this social media culture, where are we headed to? You know, with this, it's almost like a mob mentality. Like, who's getting dragged today? You know, will it go into the private sphere, like, you know, where it's just some guy named Jack who didn't, you know, go see his daughter, and now we're shaming him for that. And
So
now, you know,
so in so many words, you're kind of saying you don't really believe in this cancel culture that we're in.
Cancel culture, like I think there's a cancer culture. You know, there's some people out here where I'm kind of like cheering. I'm like, you know, you're like with the racist woman who's calling on the ice cream. You know,
Yeah, the little girl that's selling water. Yeah,
you know, if that's a lesson that she needs to learn, like or Roseanne, like, damn, I messed up. You know, then okay, but I think that right now it's just a wildfire, and it's, you know, I've been a victim of, not a victim, but, you know, like I've gone through where it's just like, what did you say? And then everyone just attacks, you know. And I learned the best thing to do is to just let it broil, simmer, and do not feed it. Don't react, you know, because it just gets like quicksand. It gets worse and worse. I guess what I'm commenting on is the energy that's behind it.
Okay.
You know, it's not good energy.
That's what Drake did. Drake chilled out and didn't respond.
He tweeted through it.
Well, he
tweeted through
leaned
it.
on
No, I
Jay
mean, like,
Prince. He
when
leaned on Jay Prince. He let another man speak for him.
he did.
But, you know, and then whatever. I have my feelings on that. He was like, you know, first of all, you know, he actually wrote a letter like, that's not hip hop. You know, like what?
Yeah, he wrote his notebook like drafts on his phone and then screenshotted it.
Right.
That was his
Little
response.
memo joint.
He's like, you guys are ignorant. I can't do this anymore. I was like, more life.
But he's fine now. He's stronger than ever. So he did like
bless
step back.
Drake, man. You know, may your beard prosper.
Ferrari Sheppard with us right now. We got to go away for 3 minutes. We're going to be back with more. Don't move. Yeah, we're back. 3 minutes was a short amount of time, and we're back with our guest, Ferrari Sheppard.
Woo!
We're feeling good, feeling great.
This is great having a conversation with you. You've been you just got back a week ago from Ethiopia. You were in Africa for a couple years, and now you're back in America. Like, how does it feel? What are you going to do while you're back now, I guess?
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
You know, well, it's kind of like something to clear up, where it's just like, I remember when Dave Chappelle took a break and went to South Africa. It was kind of ugly to see how people would like, or the media were portraying it like, oh my God, he's in the bush rubbing bones together or something. It's like, no, actually, like, South Africa is super modern, and it's just like, I would say, is close to Europe and America. So I spent a lot of time there. It don't get me wrong, it's still, you know, it is South Africa, it's Africa, but you know, there, Tanzania and Ethiopia. So, you know, the bridging the gap between these two, you know, these two worlds, it's not as hard as people may think, you know. So definitely, I had a plan not to come back to America, actually. You know, like, this was like kind of steadfast in my mind, but I ran into some realities that, you know, let me know that it's really hard to just pick up and move to another country. That's why I say shout out to all of the immigrants who come over, because it's, you know, there's debt. Like, you have to make sure your debt is in order.
Which what human being in America has no debt?
Doesn't have debt, you know.
Right.
That's
and
wild.
your criminal records, you gotta have all of your stuff in order, and then you come over and you say, please, will you let me stay here, you know.
Wow.
So that's something that may happen in my life you know, going down the road. But right now I'm working. I just finished a body of work in Johannesburg, South Africa. Shout out to the Gauteng Troop Crew, and now I'm gonna have a show, inshallah, in LA in September at Chase Infinite. Chase Infinite is A$AP Rocky's manager. He just opened I guess it's a gallery and a coffee shop. It's in LA. It's called Huron Coffee. Check that out.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Ferrari Sheppard is with us, multidisciplinary artist, and talking about your visual art. But the interesting thing that, I mean, for me at least, is the project with Yasin Bey, Mos Def. Are you going to continue producing for other artists?
Yeah, you know, I've been producing and sending stuff to like Mape and trying to get MIA on stuff.
Oh.
But you know, she was actually just in South Africa promoting her documentary.
Which I want to see.
Yeah, which I missed.
Badly.
She was mad at me. She was like, "How do you come out to have drinks with me, but you missed my premiere?" Like, you know, and I was like, "I'm so sorry." Well, yeah, I just thought that it might be embarrassing because, you know, like if you know someone and then you see in their life on a screen, it's kind of weird.
That
It's
would
like,
be weird.
Yeah,
you know? But
so I thought I was giving her space to be like, you know, well, maybe I'll watch it on my own later, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sure.
so it's I'm excited to be back. I'm looking for, you know, more opportunities as a black, you know, African painter. Like this, it's really hard breaking into the fine art world because we kind of pick and choose. Like they're like, these are the important African artists, you know, and then you're kind of like isolated. And so I'm trying to maneuver through that, you know.
And in your opinion, what advice would you give to other young artists out here that are trying to do the same as you are?
Make art. Like, you know, once I got I went to the School of the Art Institute, and after I left, I stopped making art for maybe 10 years.
Really?
You know, like I'm talking visual art. And I think that was necessary for me in my growth because sometimes we're like sponges. Artists are like sponges. You need to like get some water, take, you know, and get it in. But the important thing is to create the product because, you know, right now we live in a social media era where it's like, you know, people talk about working more than they're actually working. And you want to have a body of work that is large and extensive. That's the only way that collectors are going to take you seriously because what they're looking at you as is, of course, they like the art and everything and they need a story from you, but they're looking at you as an investment, you know. So that would be my advice to new artists.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ferrari Sheppard. We appreciate you.
God, thank you for having me.
And
You are lovely. Thank you.
And you post a lot of your art on your Instagram. Before we go, can we plug your Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is Ferrari Sheppard. Yeah, there might be a fake one out there. Instagram needs to like verify my profile because I'm serious. I'm verified everywhere else, and Instagram's like, no, we don't. It's like, you know, I don't understand.
We feel you. We're in the same
so
boat.
Ferrari Sheppard at Instagram.
All right.
And his Twitter is Stop Being Famous.
Yes.
Thank you, man. It's Auggie and Sophia in the morning.
All right.